I'd like to thank Playvig.com for sponsoring this video and helping me a ton through the adpocalypse. So Playvig itself is a platform that allows players of all different levels to win prizes such as cash by completing single player quests or by competing in tournaments, which are in fact added every single Friday. Currently they are giving away $10,000 in guaranteed prize pool money for tournament prizes between November 15th and December 31st. So now is really good a time as any to give it a try. So maybe I'll see you there. So today I wanted to talk about Chipsa playing Doomfist, and I feel like this is going to be kind of important because Doomfist is getting a few buffs in the near future, mainly bug fixes, but they should make him a little bit better. Now one thing about those is that Chipsa himself said that the buffs actually won't make him go way too much of a more valued pick for the majority of players, but if you're already good at him, it'll probably make you feel a lot more consistent as this character, and you'll be able to do just a little bit better as well. Now something else I want to say that we're going to be really seeing in this game is that sometimes it can be kind of hard to play Doomfist on offense depending on the map. Now I think like this map is actually a really good defensive map, but on offense, maybe not the best for first point, so we switch it off to Genji and we're just going to speed through all of this. But I guess it is a tip in itself. Sometime you might want to actually learn some other DPS, mainly some other flankers, because on offense, you know, if they have a defensive Roadhog or a defensive McCree, it can be really hard for you to do anything like that. Overall, Doomfist is just really situational, but certain maps with a lot of high ground can be good for him, like Eichenwald, King's Row, or even Temple of Anubis, especially on defense again, as I was saying a little bit earlier. As well, I've heard Chipsa say many times that he actually prefers Doomfist a lot more on defense than offense, because it's just kind of harder to pop off on offense because you have to use so much abilities to just get next to the opponents in the first place, and then you also have to somehow get away. While on defense, I mean, you can just kind of walk back to get away, and you don't have to use nearly as much stuff to get next to your opponents because they're the ones trying to get next to you. That's kind of how it goes. And finally, of course, you can actually play Doomfist without a shield comp, and I feel like that's a pretty important thing about the character because a lot of characters like, you know, McCree, Soldier, you kind of want a shield to play with, but Doomfist, you don't really need one. So if you can't get a Ryan, if you can't get any tanks like that, you still have a pretty good chance of winning that game. So that's a pretty good thing about him. Anyways, here we are to defense. Of course, starting it off, that, you know, what's that? That was such a good maneuver, but whatever. We're going to see him come into the same place again and again. And for the most part, what he tries to do is go on the high ground, jump down, E, then shift someone, and then try to tap the rocket punch to escape. And he's going to probably do that again and again. Right there, uses the rocket punch to actually just jump around that corner, uses E to get on the Widow, and then shifts up. Yeah, you can do stuff like that. Unfortunately, right there against the Ana, of course, he just kind of got screwed because coding, but that's hopefully going to be fixed in the new patch, so, you know, that'll be kind of nice. You'll be able to do more stuff like that. But yeah, I feel like that's just kind of good to know how you can go in, and a really good example right there. One other thing you should remember whenever you're playing Doomfist is that you have to remember to shoot in between every single one of your abilities, or at least for the most part, try to shoot in between every single one of your abilities, because otherwise you're just not really going to be able to get way too many kills on people, because your abilities just don't do quite enough damage to kill by themselves. Maybe if the opponent is already like half health, then you can just bother not do that, but in most cases, it will be worth your time. Anyways, again, right here, pushing up a little bit. One thing about Doomfist is that you want to make sure, again, that you're hiding on high ground, you jump on people, and you try to one-pop them, but if you don't get the kill, try to instantly back off, because even in that one case where he used a little bit too much of his abilities, he just instantly died, and you have to make sure that that does not happen to you. That's one of the big problems about this character. Right there we see, of course, you know, Roadhog just kind of pwns Doomfist in a lot of situations, so make sure to try to not to stay next to him whenever you possibly can. And another thing I should say is that Doomfist can't really kill people that are getting healed unless they are next to a wall or unless they have a really good hitbox that you can make sure to headshot a few times. Like McCree, you can probably kill him while he's getting healed, but with a lot of other characters, you probably can't. Right there, Chipsa just walks around the corner, jumps around the corner, then E's, shoots, shifts, shoots, and then goes for a right click, rocket punches at Ana, follows up quite a bit, and just gets a ton of damage on this character as well, and eventually backs off because he knows that all of his abilities are down. That is a just good example of what to do. And yeah, you can, of course, E around corners, so be pretty careful about that and make sure to actually try to use that, because if people directly see you, they're probably going to just be like, hey, Doomfist is coming in, let's try to dodge this guy. But if you E around a corner, they can't really do that. Right here, of course, he gets slept, kind of bad for him, but he can just go for his ultimate. And remember that your ult is essentially a get out of jail free card. So if it's not really going too well for you, just go for that. Try to go 1-for-1 or just try to get away, depending on how close you are to your team. If you're really far away from your team, just try to go for that 1-for-1 if humanly possible, and that will be, you know, worth your time on itself. Something else I should also mention is that he never really tries to dive people all at once. You know, when the enemy team is all next to each other, he doesn't really go for the people in the front line. And when he does, like we see right there, he goes in, gets a bit of damage, kind of scares them off, and then backs off immediately because he knows, you know, if I can't get this pick, it's time to back off. And that's kind of how it goes. Either you go off by yourself trying to get picks with people that are too far away, or you go in with your team but just kind of back off immediately and then re-engage again later if your team's winning, or again just kind of try to run away if your team's losing. I guess that's kind of a different strategy, but I mean, you got to go for what you got to go for. And yeah, he's always at high ground for the most part, and always trying to look for people that he can just jump on that are maybe a little bit too far pushed up. And getting picks like that is kind of how Doomfist works. And that's, I guess, a problem about him, because if you can't get those picks, it can be kind of hard for you to get value in actual team fights. But if you can bother to learn it, it does typically work pretty well for you. And as well, you should, as we see him do again and again, try to get that high ground and try to push the enemies off of high ground, because Doomfist really has trouble with people shooting him from high ground, because you can't really counter that. But he can often get people off of high ground in the first place, so you want to make sure that you're doing that every single second. Finally, of course, right there, he does turn around to kill the tank. That's the thing you want to do, of course, just don't leave your team in the back line to fend for themselves. But in team fights, you kind of have to. I feel like Doomfist can peel a little bit. And of course, if like a Winston jumps on him, try to punch him, try to back him up. But after that, maybe just try to go 1-for-1. One of your supports dies, you get one of the enemy supports. They probably can't push on offense. And I guess that's, again, a really good thing about playing on defense. Because if you can just go 1-for-1, it's good for your team. But on offense, it's not nearly as good in a lot of cases. So there you go with that. That's kind of what's going on right here, of course. Unfortunately, Mercy gets picked. He hears the Graviton going out, immediately ults on it. Huge pop-off right there. And there's something with Doomfist, of course, if you see someone going for a nice combo ultimate, like like a Graviton or like a Earth Shatter or something, I just immediately ult if you hear that sound effect and try to kill whoever you can in that, because your ultimate, again, doesn't have way too much value, and in that one situation, it has a ton of value. So take the value whenever you possibly can, because in a lot of cases you might go 1-for-1, but if you can do anything else, try to take it, of course, because the ultimate does charge up really fast. You aren't really missing it way too much. And I'd even ult before you really see what's going on, just so that you get there faster and just so that the enemies don't have time to really escape. Right here again, jumping from high ground, making sure to use health packs. That's one thing I should say. If you're playing Doomfist right, you don't really need to worry way too much about getting too much heals from your supports. For the most part, you should go in, hit the enemy backline, get a lot of damage, and then back off and have your supports heal you from there. They shouldn't really have to follow you if you're playing this character right. Right there, just simply shifts the Hanzo up and then triple shots him. So, again, make sure to get out your damage just by simply shooting, because otherwise it can be kind of hard. And unfortunately, the enemy just eventually dies on him. But in most of these fights, he is either just trying to punch away the enemy Winston, or just kind of ignoring him and going after other people in the backline. And as well, he usually tries to wait for his cooldowns. Doomfist is a very cooldown dependent character. Right there, jumps from halfway across Timbuktu, of course, somehow, by jumping and going for the alternate fire, and then eventually just going for that E, of course. But yeah, he generally does try to wait for his cooldowns to come back. And what you kind of want to do as Doomfist is to go in with all your might, and then go out, or go in with all of your might, including your punch and everything, and then hide around a corner and try to escape, or hide around a corner and try to get a little janky pick. Those are your two main options as this character, and it's what pretty much works for the majority of the time. Right here, again, looking up from the high ground, unfortunately doesn't get the pick right there. I think he jumps around the corner and just unfortunately doesn't kill that guy, misses the shift right there. But it's okay, because you can just walk around and eventually get the pick anyways. You do have to be pretty patient as this character, because even though you have to be so aggro, if you keep being aggro, just like walking directly towards the enemy, you can't really do too much. You have to like play positioning really well, walk around the enemies, walk around walls, and make sure that you're in just when your abilities are up. Because again, he is essentially an ability-only character. During this game, we actually see the Doomfist is going in with another flanker character on defense. That is Genji. And I feel like a lot of people would say, that's maybe not way too good. But I feel like in this case, it works out okay. Because Doomfist often can get really close to getting kills, but then sometimes can't finish them off. And the same thing goes with Genji. And if you play them both together on defense, they can, for the most part, finish off essentially any kill. So that's kind of nice. Right here, I think he just got stuck on the high ground. That's a bug that is going to be fixed, but, at the current time of this video, wasn't fixed. And as far as his aiming goes, for the most part, again, he's trying to either shoot at people's necks or at their very upper middle part of their body, but not really at their heads, because oftentimes you really can't hit the head, so it's not going to be worth your time to even try to go for that. Finally, the game finishes off right there. But the tip I want to give you guys is to make sure to use your punch like a projectile. Think about where the enemy is going to be, and then try to shoot towards there instead of shooting at exactly where they are, because it won't really work. Like right here, of course, he's just looking around and gets a nice ultimate. But for the most part, if you just shoot at where people are, it's almost never going to really hit. So while it does, I guess, kind of make it not the most consistent, projectile, movement hitbox in the game. Just kind of getting good at predicting where people are going to be makes it pretty consistent compared to just shooting again exactly where people are. And finally, of course, if the enemy is running a dive comp, try to just punch their main tank and then disengage and then try to engage on the enemy backline, and that's kind of how you want to do that. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Chipsa is personally my favorite Doomfist player and really one of the only Doomfist players, so if you want to learn about him, here is probably the place to do it. Anyways, as always, guys, if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and as always, have a wonderful day.